I heard this Oxford philosophy professor talk about the meaning of life. And he said, life is like a diary. We live life from one page to the next. We fill in a page and then we move to the next one, and something magically happens during the evening when we fall asleep. We get transferred from one page to the other one. But he said there will be a day when you will get stuck forever on a page, never to move to the next one. That's the day when we close our eyes on earth. Everybody that's here today, we have already one date in our diary, and that's our birth date. But we have a lot of friends and family that's not here today. There's a second date. The day they left this earth. And I want to talk about what are we supposed to do between these two dates? What is God calling us to do between these two dates? When we read Ecclesiastes 3 verse 2, we see that God himself sets these dates in motion. He sets the time for birth and the time for death. We read this verse at funerals a lot. He sets the time for birth and the time for death. But I want to talk to you about what I think we should do during this time. During this time of living from one page to the next, from birthday to your final day, I think we live in three areas. We live in the past, we live in the present, and we live in the future. Past is important. We need the past. We need to learn from the past. The past is there so that we can learn from it and move on. But sometimes we get stuck in the past. Sometimes we live our whole lives in the past, and the past is all that there is. I hear the stories, when I was young. We used to do this when I was young. As youngsters, this is how we did church. We hear the past, the stories of the past, and I see people stuck there. That's all that they know about. That's all that they talk about is the past. God gave us the past so that we can learn from it and move on. But then also we have the present. One of my friends told me the story. He went home early one day from church, and his son was playing a PSP game. And he went to sit next to him. He watched him play this game, and his son turned to him and said, "Dad, are you here? Are you present?" His dad said, "Can't you see I'm present? I'm here." And he asked him again, "I just want to know if you're present." And he figured it out. Are you really, really here? See, sometimes we're not present. We live life without being present. And I think God wants us to be present in our lives. To not just live in the past, but to be present in our lives. That I do see people that only live for the present. And their lives are only for the present. It's only for today. It's only for the now. Gratification for now. Life for now. I wish sometimes I can take people that commit suicide and just show them the future. Because if they can just see the future, they will know that this is present. This is stuff now. But this is not how it's going to be always. And then we have a future. Now, I myself get stuck there sometimes. I'm a futurist. So I love the future. I love what's going to happen. I read about the future. I wonder about the future. I hope for the future. But I must sometimes just check in and make sure that I don't get so involved in the future that I'm not present and I don't learn from the past. So while you're living between these two dates, between the pages, make sure that you live with a past, a present, and a future. I love when you go on with Ecclesiastes, it says in verse 15, whatever was is, whatever will be is, that is how it is with God. I just love this verse. It doesn't matter what's going to happen in your future. It doesn't matter what happened in your past. It is with God. He is the great I am. It always will be with God. Don't have to worry about the future. Have to be scared about the future. Because with God, it is the same. Yesterday, today, and forever. I think also what we need to do is, while we're living between these two dates, is we need to leave a legacy. See, there's a difference between legacy and inheritance. Inheritance is stuff. It's the stuff that we want to leave our kids, you know, the house, and the money, and the cars. But legacy is something different. I love what Reggie Joyner wrote. He said, most people can't give their children a lavish inheritance, but every person will leave a personal legacy. Everybody that's here today will leave a personal legacy. Now, I started to look at legacy. What is legacy? And what is so nice about legacy? You know, stuff is stuff, but legacy is something different. It's leaving moments of happiness. You see, legacy is that moments that you leave that the people can look back and say, wow, that was awesome. I remember my granddad. I remember the day I played with him in the sea, building castles on the sand. The watch he left me is already gone, broken, but that moment of happiness, that legacy, I will remember it for the rest of my life. And then lastly, I think it's important to live between these pages with people in our lives. I don't think God wants us to live alone. He wants us to invite people into our lives, to invite friends, to invite family. But sometimes, you know, we can't choose our family, but we can choose our friends. So choose them wisely. Invite friends into your life that can walk with you, that can be next to you, that can live life with you. And then I also think it's important to invite Christ into your life. To not live this life between the dates, between those two dates, the pages, those two very important pages, to live between them without Christ. It is important to invite Him into your life.